Good afternoon, YouTube. This is the third and final video of the Yamaha receiver HDMI 2.1 board upgrade. In the first video, I went over how to submit a request to have it upgraded. In the second video, I went over how to pack the receiver and ship it out to them. United Radio was the company responsible for doing the board upgrade. I just got my receiver back an hour or two ago. Long story short, everything works. And second, it took exactly 2 weeks from the time I shipped it out to when I got it back. For most of you, that's all you wanted to know. Thank you for following. For the rest of you who want a little bit more detail, here goes. The receiver was sent out on the 15th of December. It took them less than 24 hours to replace the board. They sent me confirmation emails on when they both got the receiver and when the board was upgraded and the receiver was shipped back out to me. Everything was done using UPS. I didn't have to pay for shipping or the packaging materials. When you receive the box, I highly suggest that you use some Lysol wipes to wipe down the cardboard. Right now, there's a lot of Omicron COVID cases going around. I don't want you guys to get sick from it, even though it's highly unlikely. Inside, they included a green sheet outlining the work that was done to the receiver. They mentioned that they upgraded the board. They ensured that the latest firmware was applied. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on this in a bit. They also mentioned if they backed up and restored their settings, but if you were smart, you did that beforehand just in case something went wrong. Going back to the firmware version, in my previous two videos, I failed to mention that I was running outdated firmware. If you look in those videos, I was actually on version 1.31, and I believe now the most latest one is 1.48. The smarter thing to do was for me to upgrade the firmware and test if I still had the 4K 120Hz issue using my PS5, because I thought it was quite odd that the PS5 was not listed as one of the consoles that had the HDMI 2.1 issue. I also failed to check the receiver settings. There is a menu for HDMI output for 8K. I did not check that and include that information in my videos. These were actually comments that were left on the previous videos, so I thank you guys for pointing that out. Regardless, I still would have sent this receiver out for the board upgrade because honestly, I have thought about buying an Xbox down the road so I could play some of the Windows games on my basement home theater TV. Everything was packed well. I'm just going to take all the bags out, reattach the antennas, and slowly and painfully reattach all the speaker wires and connections. In my case, I'm using all the speaker terminals, so that comes out to about 18 wires I have to reconnect. I'm going to next turn the receiver back on, and sure enough, the firmware is 1.48, so it appears that the technician upgraded the firmware for me. I was kind of hoping that they didn't so I could test the PS5 with the old firmware that I have. Again, that was 1.31 to see if I actually never had an issue in the first place with the HDMI 2.1. If someone has this information, please leave it down in the comments below. I will pin it so that other people can see it. I'm then going to use the AV receiver remote. I'm going to click Setup, then go to Speaker, Test Tone, just to make sure that all the speakers are connected. I have, I believe, 7 speakers in the main room and 2 in zone 2. So again, just want to make sure everything's hooked up correctly. Then I'm going to return to the main menu. I'm going to go back to HDMI video format. And here's the menu I was talking about earlier. I'm going to ensure that the correct mode is correct. It should be 8K. That's what I'm going to test the PS5 with this time. Sure enough, it now shows 4K 120Hz with HDR. And that's it for this video. Sometimes we all make mistakes, but that's why we're here to learn. I also want to thank United Radio and Yamaha for getting this done and rather quickly. I mean, a lot of this stuff was shipping back and forth during the holiday season, so it could have easily been delayed, but 2 weeks is a pretty quick turnaround in my opinion. There was no incentive to make this video. They're not even aware about this. It's good that they stand behind what they promised. If you found something useful in these series of videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.